Hi, Empress Justice here, and welcome to the weekly reading for the 7th to the 13th of January 2024. This is going to be my second take doing this video because I had a lot to say and it just wasn't being arranged in the right order. So let me start over again. If you'd like to support my online readings, you can do so through Cash App and PayPal. I will leave the links in the description. And also, if you'd like to book private readings with me, you can do so at realjusticetarot@gmail.com and Empress Justice Tarot 77@gmail.com. Yes, I am still taking private readings. And I am still doing the online stuff. So yeah, I'm still doing it. So if you'd like to book appointments with me or you'd like to support my work, you absolutely can. £5 up, £5 upwards would be nice, or whatever you can afford with regards to the donations. Now, before I get into the week, I have to talk about how interesting this year has been already. Now, according to Stars Align with Carmen, shout out to her, this year is not just an 8-year, but it's also a 44-year. And I've really been seeing those developments come out. Like, there is a huge paradigm shift in many people's lives collectively. It's like there's a the foundations have been rocked, and truth be told, we do get a sense of that this week. It can result in deaths or unexpected deaths. Well, all deaths are unexpected. It's the timing, you see. It could result in more unexpected deaths, like what's going on with me at the moment. It could result in huge revelations coming out in the case of Cat Williams, but I don't think Cat Williams is going to be the only one. I'm just saying there is a huge paradigm shift. It's been a long time coming. We all knew it was coming, but it's just when 2024 dropped, like the second 2024 dropped, the shift in paradigm was almost immediate. It was crazy. It was absolutely insane. And I feel like from this week, it's going to become clear just how much our foundations have been rocked for most people around the globe. Not even just like one or two people. For most people collectively, their foundations have absolutely been rocked. But as I get into the notes, we're going to see that the cloud is really quite small in comparison to the view of the sun behind it. Like that silver lining is a golden lining, and that cloud is really, really small in comparison to the sun that's actually behind the cloud. Do you understand what I'm saying? The cloud is dark, but the sun is bright, and it has a bigger perspective for us than the cloud that's in front of it, if that makes sense. So as much as our foundations are being rocked, as much as we can find ourselves like without footing, this is just preparing us for a new foundation that's being built, a new paradigm. I've predicted this before and it was always coming, but we just didn't know what the timing would be. We didn't know how it would happen. But I think there is a lot of truth to what Carmen, what Carmen is saying, Stars Align with Carmen. There's a lot of truth to what she's saying, because there has been a huge paradigm shift. So she's been bang on the money when it comes to this. There have been so many revelations that have come out. So much of the old ways of life that we're used to that have just fallen away at this point. So this year, as the year of the dragon comes to a close, a lot of unnecessary stuff is being burned away, or a lot of stuff that needs to go is being burned away. I'm not necessarily talking about people or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. But a lot of obstacles getting in the way of our new foundations are being removed, sometimes quite forcefully, and it can be quite painful for us. And we do get a sense of how much that paradigm has shifted during this week. And during this week, especially because it's a new moon week with the new moon in PurvaAshada. And I will link that video to this one. Okay. So there is a huge paradigm shift going on. But as dark as things seem for some of us, the bright times ahead. Oh boy, that's all I'm gonna say. In comparison to some of the dark times that many of us have faced already, the bright times that are ahead, baby, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that you shouldn't mourn the bad periods. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm not saying that you shouldn't let yourself feel disappointment even when the good times do come. Let yourself feel everything. Let yourself feel everything. But the truth is that a new foundation is being built, one that is more suited to us as people. And it might surprise us how we become different people at the end of it. It's like I said before, during the January monthly reading, I said we will become more refined versions of ourselves. It's already happening. Only during this week, we already start to see the positives of everything that's happened. And I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, because like so many of us have just been through so much, but then some of the positive stuff starts to shine through, like the positive changes that all of this upheaval results in. They already start to show themselves from the 7th onwards. So I'm just going to read the notes for the overview, and then I'm going to get into each portion of the week. So first off, the overview, right? Now, before I begin, I have to make a correction with regards to the last weekly reading, because during the last weekly reading, I said that the ascendant in midweek would be Hasta. The ascendant was actually in Ashwini. So we had Mula ascendant for the beginning of the week. We had Ashwini ascendant for the midweek. And we had Punarvasu for the end of the week. So it was a return to childhood. It wasn't even just a return to childhood. It was a return to the roots of our childhood, because something was shifting. Something was shifting, like there was a foundation that was being reset. So that's what those ascendants represented. So things were being torn apart, things were being blown apart. We were coming back to familiar situations in new ways. Now, with regards to this week now, this is where we start to put the pieces back together after everything, all these earth-shattering truths have been revealed last week. And after all these big events, these big karmic events have been happening, in that week, now this week is where the pieces start coming together. Like we start putting the pieces together again in new ways. All right. So for the overview, that the reason I came to this conclusion is because we've got PurvaAshada ascendant at the beginning of the week, Bharani ascendant midweek, and Punarvasu in Cancer at the end of the week. So now we are refining ourselves, and according to older memories, we're becoming more refined versions of our childhood selves. Last week we were returning to our childhood selves. There was something karmic about it. And now comes the stage of refinement. Now comes the stage of whatever has been taken apart, we find newer and better things to bring together, so that we can improve upon whatever it was that the upheaval took away from us. We can improve upon that. And mostly, for the most part, if this makes sense, it's about lifestyle. And it's about the way in which we live our lives. That's what we are improving upon. Not necessarily the people that we've lost, or or the homes we've left behind, or anything like that. It's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that we used to live that is kind of falling away. And now during this week, we are accepting elements from different places that are better for us, essentially, and that add to our internal purity, because PurvaAshada is about purity. Remember, it's a new moon week. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. It's also about beauty this week as well. But beauty is in harmony. So we find ourselves being harmonized by the newer and better things that we are bringing together. whether that be friendships, romances, career paths, all that type of stuff. We're coagulating different and better things for ourselves so that we can move forward in our lives. Now, let me get to the notes, because the most important notes here are practical choices and common sense. So a lot of us are going to be making the best of the situations that we found ourselves in. And I feel like that does come back to PurvaAshada again. We're making the most of the situations that we found ourselves in. And whatever it is that we're taking in the very best of what we're getting. We're taking in the very best of that. And we're putting all of those things together in order to create something that is worthy of us, essentially. And again, it's about lifestyle more than anything. I feel like our love lives will get better. Our friendships will get better. Our familial relationships will get better. I feel like that is what will happen as a result of this paradigm shift. We will live lives not only more authentic to us, but like a better version of that authenticity. So practical choices and common sense comes into that, because we're liable to make smarter decisions this week. Like a lot of us are liable to make realistic, smart decisions. Okay? Especially when it comes to anything material or anything revolving around our practical lives. Okay? Or our material lives or our money. We're liable to make smarter choices this week, which is really good. It's fortunate. So, for the other notes, we have courageous woman, life experience giving the upper hand. So our life experiences, everything that we've experienced so far, it gives us the upper hand now. Well, for those of us who are more truthful anyway, it gives us the upper hand. New beginnings in life, music and recreation are the way forward. Being on the right path in life, emphasis on positive affirmations, protected from situations we're outside of, spiritual protections, endings can lead to better lives. Shout out to Tarot Ingi for the tarot definition. Shout out to her. I feel like, yeah, it is going to be, yeah, we're already going to see improvements in our lives as a result of the paradigm shift. Once again, we're still in the year of the dragon. The year of the snake is coming in February. So we're experiencing, like, we have experienced destruction, but we're already going to be experiencing the rebirth in the coming week. Okay. So yeah, that was for, is there anything else for the week overall? No, I think that's it. So let me just get onto Sunday and Monday. Okay. Now, the ascendant coming into this week, the ascendant that will introduce this week will be PurvaAshada, which is foreshadowing for the new moon's energies. So if you want to know more about PurvaAshada, please go to the PurvaAshada new moon reading, and that will tell you everything you need to know. Okay. So the notes I've got here are strength and power through pleasure. So this is what makes PurvaAshada so captivating, because they attain strength and power through, it's like how do I describe PurvaAshada? It's not always this way, because it can manifest differently, but PurvaAshada reminds me of somebody who becomes strong and powerful by being a jock or something, or by being involved in the entertainment industry in some way. So it's like they gain all kinds of physical prowess and strength in their sort of charisma, but they gain it through knowing how to please other people and knowing how to appeal to other people. So that's how they develop and cultivate their strengths. And I feel like there's a lot of that going on for the first 2 days. We find our strength and our power through what appeals to us and what appeals to other people. Like I said, music and recreation is going to play a big part this week, and especially for the first 2 days of the week. And we've got pulling people together with different backgrounds and skill sets. We've got leadership with appeal and presence, drawing others in. So it's like I said about PurvaAshada before. Please check out the reading. PurvaAshada brings in diverse elements, whereas Vishaka walks out towards the diverse elements. Do you know what I mean? But they both amount to the same thing. They both amount to a very appealing and captivating form of leadership. Okay. And then for another important note, we've got healthcare expert. But for other notes, we've got achieving, being proud, professor, long-term success, strong success, peace and tranquility, strong performer, great performance, winning people over, healing, and coming to terms with sadness. So it's like I said before, last week was the destruction. It was the crumbling of the tower. And now this week, in terms of tarot metaphor, this week can be described as the week of the star. This is the star week. And given that Bharani is a midweek ascendant, and I'll get to that in a minute, it feels like many of us are tapping into our star qualities at this moment. We have the King of Cups here. We have the Four of Swords. And we have the pure white dragon from Orion. Process what you know. Act with truth and honesty. Hang on a sec. No. Sorry, I didn't want to block the speaker. Process what you know. Act with truth and honesty. Let your wings of light grow and expand. Yes. So we begin this week being really honest with ourselves about how we feel and what we know. But there is a certain emotional maturity that comes with that. It's something that the last week kind of forced many of us into. It forced many of us into a state of emotional maturity and a state of having to be honest with ourselves. This is something that we have no problems doing. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say, after the rocking of the foundation with Mula, Ashwini and Punarvasu, there was a rocking of the foundation. Now with this week, we get glimpses of a new foundation and a new world being built. And for those who are true to themselves, it's looking really beneficial, probably more beneficial than, they might anticipate, because truth seekers have a hard time in general. But I feel like 2024, starting this year, is going to be the year where things finally start to turn around for them, like on a massive scale. It starts to turn around for the truth tellers. It starts to turn around for people who are in the know and who are trying to get the word out. So this is a very transformative week. It's a week where, the truth really does set us free, and it brings us a sort of peace that we didn't really anticipate. But it's good because this is not shallow. This is not shallow, and this is not just a fleeting thing. This is setting a long-term foundation for great emotional health, great psychological health, which is going to be absolutely vital towards the decisions that we make materially. So, what else can I see here? Yeah, we also come into our leadership abilities as well, but the way in which we come into them, we don't come into them through work. I've said it so many times, and people don't hear me though. I've said it so many times that the way in which you come into your power is through pleasure. Pay attention to the King of Swords and the Queen of Wands. You can be as hardworking as you want. You can be as diligent as you want. You can do all the things that you're told to do in order to make you an effective worker. But it's being able to bring people pleasure, to inspire people through pleasure, that takes you over the top. And no planets know this better than Jupiter and Venus. The Jupiter brings a more earthier sort of pleasure, the pleasure of just kicking it, being relaxed. The pleasure that Venus brings is transcendent. It's almost otherworldly, but it's through bringing people pleasure that we actually transform our own lives and actually build a new solid foundation for ourselves. It's also our path to success. But you don't hear me. You don't hear me. It's the recreational stuff that takes you over the top. It's the extracurricular stuff that takes you over the top. You don't watch Gilmore Girls? What's the matter with you? Listen to what Paris Geller tells you. All right? Like, it's the extracurricular stuff that takes you over the top. It's pleasure that takes you over the top. It's inspiring people through making them enjoy themselves that takes you over the top. Do you understand what I mean? So there is going to be many of those realizations, if they haven't been realized already. If there have been these realizations before coming into this week, then this is the week where you're going to act on those realizations. If people haven't realized this already, then it's going to hit them from tomorrow, because I'm filming this on the 6th. It's going to hit them from tomorrow, right? But in order to appeal to people through love, you have to be honest about what your passions are. Truth and passion go together. Passion and lies don't go together. Passion and truth does. You got to be honest with yourself about what your passions truly are, and then go from there. So that, you know, the first 2 days of this week is lit. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's, it doesn't seem all that dramatic at first, but yeah, spirit brings better. Hold tight. That was for Sunday and Monday. And that was, yeah, PurvaAshada ascendant. So let me move on to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, yeah? Hold on. I did something I don't normally do. I picked 3 cards rather than 2 for these 3 days. I thought, screw it, might as well. That's how I usually handle anything. I just say might as well, fuck it. Now coming into the midweek, the ascendant will be in Bharani. And as for the cards, we have the King of Wands, the 5 of Wands, and the 3 of Swords. Don't worry, it's not as bad as you think, okay? And then we've got the Silver Lunar Dragon, bathes you in divine feminine light. Come into balance and practice peace, harmony, and cooperation. Expand your causal chakra, all right? The reason why this is important, this is giving me the image of a full moon, which I find interesting because midweek is when the new moon shows up. So I find this really interesting. It's almost as if we are manifesting during this time without realizing we're doing it. And we don't manifest through our normal rituals. If there are those of you who are like, I'm not going to hold you, right? I'm going to be honest with you right now. If there are those of you who are magically inclined, then you still are able to manifest. You just don't do it in the way that you typically would. You don't do it in the way that you typically would. Instead, what happens is that you manifest in a different way, but by the time the full moon comes around, it still works. So it's important for you to be careful about what you say, because Bharani will test you. Bharani will test your integrity, because Bharani is about integrity. The reason why Bharani has so much power behind its words is because its word is backed up by integrity. You've got to have integrity when you speak. It's very, very important. And I feel like that's the reason why I need to warn people about this manifestation thing, because they're going to manifest in ways that they don't normally. And at the end of the day, what that will result in is, if you don't have enough integrity behind your words, then you will end up manifesting what you feel emotionally and not what you actually want. So it's important that you act on your desires. And I'm not talking about your short-term desires. I'm talking acting on your long-term ones. It's important you act on your long-term desires. And it's also important you have integrity when you speak. Those two things together will manifest something incredibly powerful for the full moon. So you, again, there's this theme of setting a new foundation to replace the old one that has been fallen away, right? Replacing the old one with a new one. And that's what this is about. Because we are manifesting during the midweek powerfully, the midweek and the weekend. So it's very important to have integrity when you speak, to have integrity in your actions, and to be very, very, very clear about what you want. Very clear. Okay? Now, with that out of the way, with that said intuitively, I'm going to read the notes now. So we've got fast-paced leader, competitive leader, athlete. I was just talking about this too. Working out your differences in a relationship, success, working on your relationship, breakups and breakdowns, media event, dramatic leader, ideas meet opposition, and bitterness. Now again, I'm seeing two distinct camps. And I know that I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be like love and light all the time. But I'm seeing two distinct camps here once again. The first camp lives by their integrity, acts on their integrity. You know, who I am says something, that type of thing, right? So the first camp are living by their integrity, which means that, you know, when it comes to issues of love, solutions crop up. Solutions crop up that might not be easy, but they're more inclined to listen to. People who are not living in their integrity, bitterness and resentment will overcome them. Bitterness and resentment will overcome them because they're so busy trying to mask that they don't connect with other people in the same way that they should. But if you live by your integrity and you don't allow bitterness to cloud that, you're going to find the midweek very easy to get through. But if you're not honest with yourself and you're not honest with what you want, then you're going to find this midweek very difficult. I'm not going to lie. So those are the two camps that people are split into. You know, some people might even be in both camps, and that's just a whole casserole of nonsense, bro. Like, I don't even know what to say on that one. So yeah, it's a very powerful midweek. Very, very powerful. Let's see what else I can get. So the King of Wands is about turning pleasure, finding pleasure in duty, finding pleasure in the expectations of the world, rather than feeling hemmed in by them. With the Five of Wands and the Three of Swords, I get the feeling that whatever opposition that many of us come against, it's not malicious opposition. Outwardly, it's not malicious. The malice is turned inward. It's self-hatred. Some people, I'm not going to lie to you, right? For the people that I'm reading for, there are people who come to you out of internal bitterness. No bitterness towards you. No bitterness towards you at all. Because that's not what this is. But there are some people who approach you out of bitterness for their own situation. And because of that, they will try to enforce their cynicism onto you. But once again, if you're living in your integrity, that's not a problem. You'll find this midweek easier to get through, right? But there are people who internally hate themselves. They cannot stand themselves. And, you know, it results in them being combative with other people, but not necessarily malicious or cruel or nasty. Just like, you know, fuck everybody and fuck everything except you is the vibe that I'm getting. Is the vibe that I'm getting for some of you. For some of you, you come into contact with people who are like, fuck everything and everybody except you. So you're the one that they can put up with. You're the one that they can tolerate. But everyone else is just like, no, I don't like them. Fuck them. Do you understand what I mean? So Yeah, so that midweek is tricky. Midweek is a two camp sort of situation. But again, if you live by your integrity in your words, in your actions, and in your feelings, if you live by your integrity, you'll find that what you manifest comes about in the full moon anyway, even if you don't do that manifestation in the conventional way. So, yeah, that was for the midweek. And now I've got to move on to the weekend. Okay. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles. I know it's Pentacles, but I like saying Pentacles. I like saying that. So, yeah, we've got the Queen of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, and we have this dragon right here. So, let me see what I can get for you guys. We have got the Earth and Water Dragon, creates the foundation for new growth. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? And we have Punarvasu, ascendant, ending in Cancer. And that's all about revitalizing old energies and building upon old foundations in order to create something new. A fresh start is coming with new opportunities. Nurture your ideas and harvest the abundance. Well, there it is. So sorry everyone, someone's visiting my dad. I don't think there's anything left to say on that one. We've already got the, utilizing everything to your advantage, regardless of the situation you find yourself in. But then again, we also end up getting what we want in the weirdest ways. This is exactly why I said midweek, you have to be careful to honor your integrity. Because whatever you unwittingly manifest in with the Bharani ascendant in midweek, whatever you manifest, it will come to pass. I just didn't think it would be this quickly. So signs of everything start to show as early as the weekend. The results of our manifestation during the midweek, they start to show as early as the weekend. But again, this is just the beginning. We still have the full moon coming up. We still have the first quarter coming up. So this is an incredibly interesting week. New foundations are definitely being built. We fell out of sorts, and now there's a new foundation being put in place, which is crazy. So what does it say for the notes? The notes aren't saying very much, so this might be short. We've got practical choice, common sense, psychic healer, public speaker, getting what you want, all the pieces coming together. You see, that's PurvaAshada, all the pieces, like diverse elements unifying and coagulating. Venus is all about coagulation. Caregiver, nurturer, and CEO. The meek shall inherit the earth is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people who are usually the more meek or vulnerable ones taking the helm. They're the ones who end up taking leadership positions. I've gotten a reading like this before, but it feels like this is more community-based rather than work-based. It feels like the seemingly more vulnerable ones in the family are the ones taking charge now. And to be honest, when things, go in an upheaval like this, it's actually a standard thing that happens. Do you know what I mean? It's not an unusual thing to happen. But the new foundation, with the new foundation comes the new guard. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a new guard that is replacing the old one. And the new guard is more emotionally intuitive and less, not practical, not necessarily less practical, but less, action orientated. They're more likely to think about their actions before they do something, which means things happen more slowly, but they happen smoother. There's a smoother process. Things happen a lot more smoothly because the new guard are the ones who actually think about what they do before they're doing it. they question whether or not it's a good idea before they proceed with something. So I feel like the new foundation, the new paradigm being built is based upon vulnerable, ordinarily vulnerable people suddenly taking up the leadership position, suddenly leading the charge and being the ones that everyone comes to. And truth be told, they're normally the truth tellers. I'm not going to hold you. It's normally the truth tellers that, you know, that are the vulnerable ones. And we might find that they're the ones that, you know, everybody comes to and everybody seeks advice from. So a new foundation is being built already, and we can already see it falling into place. And then on top of that, a new foundation is being built societally too, globally. You know, things are not the same anymore. There's a reckoning that's going to happen in the weekend, which is quite it's pretty awesome, but it's also kind of scary as well. But the midweek is the period that we really need to watch out for, because the midweek pretty much decides everything. The integrity of who we are and standing by that integrity, it dictates everything else. So, you know, the weekend is definitely a time, it's more a time of rebuilding than of taking down or seeking something elsewhere. Like, it's more a revitalization period. It's more of a revitalization period rather than seeking anything new. So yeah, this whole week is very, very powerful. It's about bringing things together and revitalizing them rather than taking them apart or taking them down. So yeah, I did say the weekend would be very short because like I said before, the new guard taking over are more emotionally intelligent than physical hustlers. But because of that, better decisions are made and more practical decisions are made, ironically. And things run a whole lot smoother because we have people at the helm who think before they do something. And then on top of that, they're truth tellers. So they're more likely to actually know what the situation is and to act accordingly, rather than just behaving rashly or behaving in a way that they think they should. That's what it actually takes to be a good leader. It's not in somebody who tries to, you know, who tries to proceed forward with anything and everything, like slight whiff of a plan, and you just act. That's how things get fucked up, because people don't think. But the new guard, the ones who are representing the new paradigm, they're thinkers, they're feelers, they are wise. They understand what it takes to do something, and they do it with proper forethought. So this week is amazing, and this weekend is it ends on a very hopeful and optimistic note, and I'm very, very happy to say that. You know, it also ends on a rather balanced note as well. Yeah, it ends on a good note. So this whole week is really, really good. So only time will tell, you know, what the results will be during the full moon. That'll be interesting to see. But in the meantime, I have been Empress Justice, and this has been the weekly reading for the 7th to the 13th of January 2024. I will see you later, my darlings. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.